The day the tide turned, if not in terms of water levels, in terms of channeling military assistance to areas where it was desperately needed. At 145 Brigade's Ops Room morning brief, commanders were eager for higher level tasking.
It's not our lead, we've got to remember that. We are only supporting the civil power, and although we may at times be frustrated that actually we're all dressed up and we've got nowhere to go, that we've got to realise that partly we'll only be committed when there is something of significance, that ministers and senior planners will need to understand that the strategic picture and work out where Defence's effort is best channelled.
The floodgates were opened when the Defence Secretary said troops had been on standby for days. Use them. Plans were put into action, calls made, manpower deployed. The 1st Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers, would send to Wraysbury. Not before time, said the boots already on the ground there. Some volunteers who just brought their 4x4s to help.
I saw on the news that these guys were coming in with their vehicles. I wouldn't be here to assist, and I wouldn't have bothered coming down. It's only the fact that you've got residents that are around here crying their eyes out for help, and no one's coming. You know, I came 3 hours after I saw the television programme, and still I got here and there was no one here. 48 hours later, and people were just arriving.
The Labour leader wouldn't be drawn on why it had taken this amount of time to deploy troops to a place so desperate, only saying there would no doubt be lessons learned by the agencies involved.
The forces, the army have now arrived, and I can't tell you what it means to people in this community. The army's now here, you can see them here, and they will make a huge difference in terms of working with the local community and the local council and the police to make sure that vulnerable residents in particular are protected.
Enter Zulu Company 1RRF into the village overrun with rainwater and reporters, who some locals called vultures. Television coverage has done much to highlight this plight, but it did get in the way too. The OC knows his guys' efforts will be under the microscope.
We've been asked to assist the local authority in sandbagging, evacuating vulnerable people, understanding what the situation is locally really, so who wants to leave, who doesn't want to leave, just more bodies on the ground really. Unfortunately that's what we do as soldiers. The ground's wet, we'll get wet feet, and that's how we work. But we're as self-sufficient as any infantry unit is. We'll dry ourselves out and we'll carry on working until there's no longer any need.
For the man who's been appealing for help on behalf of his besieged constituents, seeing the soldiers was overwhelming.
We are so pleased. Yeah, we're so pleased. It took us 48 hours to get them because somebody up high thought we didn't need them and thought we were coping, but we can't cope. We're volunteers. The flood wardens have done a fantastic job, over 500 volunteers, but this is now, we need the professionals. They'll be so glad to see that somebody cares and loves them.
The Fusiliers now have the task of checking all 1,500 homes, rescuing residents, being on the lookout for looters. They say they'll stay until the job's done. Julie Knox, Forces News, Wraysbury.